Imagine a young boy, far from home. His name was Chaqmaq. He was born in a distant land, in a place we now call Circassia, in the Caucasus region. This was a world of mountains and fierce warriors. He was not born into royalty. He was not destined to be a king. His early life was not one of luxury or privilege. Instead, his journey began in a way that was common for many boys of his time and place. He was taken from his homeland, leaving behind everything he knew. This was the first step on an incredible and often dangerous path that would lead him to the very heart of power in the medieval world. His story is a testament to how fortune could twist and turn in the most unexpected ways. Chaqmaq was brought to Egypt, the center of the powerful Mamluk Sultanate. He was sold as a slave, but this was a special kind of slavery. He was destined to become a Mamluk. The word Mamluk means one who is owned. These were not ordinary slaves who worked in fields or homes. They were elite slave soldiers. They were chosen for their strength, their intelligence, and their loyalty. They were converted to Islam and taught the ways of war. They learned to ride horses with incredible skill, to use swords and bows with deadly accuracy. Their lives were dedicated to military training and service to the Sultan. This was a tough, demanding life, but it also offered a unique opportunity for advancement. The Mamluk system was extraordinary. It was a military society where slaves could rise to the highest ranks. A Mamluk's loyalty was meant to be to his master, the Sultan who bought him, and to his brothers in arms. They lived together in barracks, trained together, and fought together on the battlefield. This created a powerful bond, a brotherhood forged in steel and discipline. For a young boy like Chaqmaq, this was his new family and his new world. He would have learned Arabic, studied the Quran, and spent countless hours honing his skills as a warrior. It was a system designed to create the perfect soldier, loyal only to the state. Chaqmaq was not just any Mamluk. He was bought by a very powerful man, Sultan Barkuk. This was a stroke of luck. Being part of the Sultan's household put him right at the center of Mamluk politics. He was clever and capable, and he quickly caught the attention of his superiors. He learned not just the art of war, but also the art of politics. He saw how power was won and lost in the courts of Cairo. He served under several sultans, each time gaining more experience and more influence. He rose through the ranks, proving his worth as a commander and an administrator. He was no longer just a boy from a faraway land. He was a key player in the Mamluk system. The Mamluk Sultanate was a place of constant political struggle. Sultans were often overthrown by powerful emirs or commanders. Power was not always passed from father to son. Instead, it was often seized by the strongest and most cunning Mamluk. Chaqmaq navigated this treacherous world with great skill. He had been a governor of important cities like Aleppo and Damascus. These were powerful positions that gave him control over large armies and great wealth. He built a network of loyal followers, other Mamluks who respected his leadership and believed in his ability. He was patient and waited for his moment. He was not a rash man who rushed for power. His chance came in the year 1438. The Sultan at the time was a young boy named Yusuf. He was the son of the former Sultan Bey. The real power was held by a group of ambitious emirs who fought amongst themselves. The state was weak and unstable. The people of Cairo were tired of the chaos and the infighting. They needed a strong leader to restore order. Chaqmaq was the obvious choice for many. He was old, experienced, and respected. He was seen as a steady hand who could guide the Sultanate through its troubles. He had proven his loyalty and his competence over many decades of service to the state. He was a figure of authority in a time of great uncertainty. The transition was not entirely peaceful, but it was swift. The powerful emirs who controlled the government decided that Chaqmaq should be the new sultan. They saw him as the best person to unite the Mamluk factions and bring stability. At the age of 65, an age when most men were long retired, Chaqmaq accepted the responsibility. He was proclaimed sultan. He took the regnal name Al-Zahir, meaning the victorious. The boy from the Caucasus Mountains, the slave soldier, had reached the absolute pinnacle of power. He was now the ruler of a vast empire that stretched from Egypt to Syria. Becoming Sultan was the beginning of a new chapter, not the end of the story. Chaqmaq knew that his position was not secure just because he had the title. He had to prove he was worthy of it. He immediately set about consolidating his power. He had to deal with rival emirs who might challenge his rule. He had to win the loyalty of the various Mamluk factions, and he had to gain the support of the religious scholars and the general population. His long years of experience in Mamluk politics had taught him exactly how to do this. He used a combination of strength, diplomacy, and generosity to secure his throne and begin the difficult task of governing. As Sultan, one of Chaqmaq's main achievements was bringing stability back to the empire. After years of turmoil and weak rulers, his strong leadership was a welcome change. He was a strict but fair ruler. He put an end to the infighting among the Mamluk emirs that had plagued the Sultanate. He reformed the administration and the economy. He was particularly keen on justice. He would often listen to the complaints of ordinary people and make sure that corrupt officials were punished. This made him popular with the general population, who saw him as a protector of the weak and a restorer of order. His reign was a period of relative peace and security. Chaqmaq was also a very pious and devout Muslim. This was a central part of his identity as a ruler. He spent a great deal of money on religious and public works. He repaired mosques, built schools, and established charitable foundations. This was not just about personal faith, it was also good politics. By presenting himself as a champion of Islam, he strengthened his legitimacy to rule. He sponsored religious scholars and promoted Islamic learning. His court in Cairo became a center for culture and education. Many beautiful buildings were constructed during his reign, leaving a lasting architectural legacy on the city that can still be seen today. Beyond his own borders, Chaqmaq acted as a defender of the faith. He saw it as his duty to protect Muslim lands and holy sites. He launched several successful military campaigns. One of his most famous achievements was his attack on the island of Rhodes. The island was a base for the Knights of St. John, Christian pirates who regularly raided Muslim shipping and coastal towns. Chaqmaq sent his fleet to attack them. Although he did not conquer the island, his campaigns were successful in curbing the pirates' power and forcing them to sign a peace treaty. This boosted his prestige throughout the Muslim world. The Sultan was also a patron of trade. He understood that a strong economy was the foundation of a strong state. The Mamluk Sultanate was a vital link in the trade routes between the East and the West. Spices, silks, and other luxury goods passed through its ports. Chaqmaq worked to protect these trade routes and encourage commerce. He minted new coins, which helped to stabilize the currency and facilitate business. His policies ensured that the treasury remained full, allowing him to pay his armies, fund his building projects, and maintain a magnificent court. This economic strength was crucial to the success of his long reign. Despite his many successes, Sultan Chaqmaq's reign was not without its challenges. The Mamluk system itself was a constant source of potential trouble. There were always ambitious emirs and younger Mamluks who coveted power. Chaqmaq had to be constantly vigilant against plots and rebellions. He skillfully used his authority to appoint his own loyal Mamluks to key positions, ensuring that no single rival could become too powerful. This delicate balancing act was something he had to manage for his entire time as Sultan. It was a reminder that Mamluk power was earned and defended every single day, not simply inherited. The economy was another major challenge. While Chaqmaq worked hard to promote trade, he also faced economic difficulties. There were periodic famines and outbreaks of the plague, which devastated the population and disrupted agriculture. The constant need for money to pay the army and fund his projects led him to raise taxes. These measures were often unpopular and could lead to unrest among the population. He had to carefully manage the state's finances, balancing the need for revenue with the risk of angering his subjects. It was a difficult tightrope to walk for any ruler of the time. External threats were also a constant concern. The Mamluk Sultanate was surrounded by powerful rivals. To the north, the rising Ottoman Empire was becoming a major power in the region. To the east, the Timurid dynasty in Persia still posed a potential threat. Chaqmaq had to use a combination of military strength and clever diplomacy to protect his borders. He maintained a large and well-equipped army, but he also exchanged ambassadors and signed treaties with his neighbors. He successfully kept his enemies at bay, preserving the integrity of the Mamluk Empire during his lifetime and ensuring its continued dominance in the region. So why is Sultan Chaqmaq remembered today? He is important because he represents the Mamluk system at its best. His story is a remarkable journey from slave to sultan. He ruled for nearly 15 years, a long time in the turbulent world of Mamluk politics. He brought stability, justice, and prosperity to his empire after a period of chaos. He was a great builder, a patron of culture, and a defender of his faith. Chaqmaq stands out as one of the last great sultans of the Burji Mamluk dynasty. His long and successful reign was a golden afternoon for the Mamluk Sultanate. Before its eventual decline, he was a true Mamluk legend.